But if you can contribute to the show, the links are in the description box of this video. There are links. There's a link to PayPal, Patreon, so you could sign up and do monthly subscriptions. PayPal if you want to do a one-time contribution to the show. There's also Cash App if you want to do that. GoFundMe. And the link to Cash App is pinned in the live chat. So if you guys want me to make more content, please contribute to help support the show. Now I'm going to get into the next topic, which is related to the story that we just covered. Let me just... All right. So after the biggest protest movement in the history of this country, millions of people out in the street, every city in this country, protesting against police brutality, Joe Biden, good old Jim Crow Joe and mass incarceration Biden, his response, and it's not a surprise. He was saying this on the campaign trail, which was why I was surprised so many people out there talking about Black Lives Matter in the streets, talking about defund the police and talking about how opposing police brutality. It was weird to me how so many of those people, damn near all those people, went and voted for Joe Biden, who is literally the architect for this current police state, this current out of control policing situation that we have in this country. He's responsible for that. He's responsible for the mass incarceration crisis. Him and his crime bills that he passed when he was in the Senate, and they put in place these mandatory minimums for drug sentencing and nonviolent crimes, which increased the amount of time that people spent in prison, and made sure that the judges had no choice but to send them to prison because, like I said, mandatory minimums by law for nonviolent crimes. Joe Biden did that. And the funding, giving the private prison industrial complex was created by Joe Biden and his crime bills because they gave money to states to fund private prisons. And then private prisons began being built, and the prison industrial complex, as well as the police officers who were looking for reasons to justify their funding, all drove them to lock more people up, which brings us to where we are today, where we have millions of people in prison. We have more people in prison here than any other country on the planet, more than China, which has a population over 1 billion, more than India that has a population over 1 billion. We have more people in prison here on earth than literally anybody anywhere else in the world. And I think it's like 25% of the entire prison population of the world is here in the United States. And the icing on the cake for me, to show how intentional and nefarious this entire thing was and how they really were they planned on and they executed this plan to lock black people up for money so that their donors can make money and the politicians can keep cutting checks to the police unions and so that they can look tough on crime to run on their re-elections. They made a concerted effort to target black people, and the proof, the definitive proof of that, of course, with all those other things that I listed, was how there was a disparity between crack sentencing and cocaine sentencing. Same substance, they just made a little bit differently, and crack is used by poor people and black people primarily because it's cheaper than cocaine. And they made it so that you can go to prison much longer. I don't have the exact but I think it might have been like a 3 times longer you would go to prison for if you were caught with crack compared to cocaine. White people use cocaine, same substance. But like I said, this shows you how intentional they were in trying to lock up black people for money, and minorities for money, and poor people for money. All that being said, those decisions have brought us to where we are today with the out of control police, the qualified immunity, the gratuitous violence and targeting communities and all those things. And Joe Biden is unbowed. He is unrepentant. He has no remorse for what he did. And instead, as people are calling for defunding the police and abolishing the police, he's going to tell them to go kick rocks. And what he's going to do, he's giving states money to hire 100,000 more police officers. Mind you, there was the same number of police officers that were initially hired or funded by the crime bill, and like I said, led to this wave of mass incarceration and this boom in the police state. And Joe Biden is here after they were talking about, oh yeah, we're going to reform the police and we're going to do all this, we're going to do that, and we're serious about, oh, we hear you all in the streets, and it's so bad that they choked out George Floyd and they shot up Breonna Taylor and all these other people who've been murdered by the police. Oh, it's so bad, we're going to reform it. Where's the reforms? Nowhere to be found. But what are they going to do? Joe Biden's going to give $100,000 more to the police to. They've already been proven lawless, already put all that shit, and he's going to give $100,000 more to them. No reforms. So what you're telling me is, it's clear as day that the police are targeting poor people and minorities. It is clear as day they are at war with these communities, acting as an occupying military in these communities. And instead of doing anything to protect his citizens, his constituents, what Joe Biden is going to do, he's going to take sides in that war, and he's going to give them more money, more weapons to continue to assault the public and not make them change a goddamn thing. So I have some graphics to share with you all, to show how outrageous this entire thing is, really, to give more money to the police, especially in their current state. So let me show you this first one. Again, the police don't. So another huge reason for why it makes absolutely no sense to just keep funding them to the end of time and giving them more money than literally any other aspect of local government. A lot of the times these police budgets are like 50% of the budget. Like Uvalde, I think the budget was like 40% of the entire city budget. And look what happened when you need the police officers to actually do something for the community. 600 officers sitting outside of school while one person was in there massacring kids, and they didn't do a fucking thing about it. So what this graphic shows is, and it was from a professor in a law professor who's studies criminal justice and policing. She did a report, and part of it found that let me show you, read from her words. The quote: the data showed that consistently over the decades, fewer than half of serious crimes are reported to the police. Few, if any, arrests are made in those cases. In reality, about 11% of all serious crimes result in arrest, and about 2% end in conviction. Imagine that. Imagine that. We give the police billions and billions of dollars, allegedly, so that they can protect the community, right? They clearly aren't doing that because, like that study showed, less than 0.5% of serious crimes are even reported to police, and even less, 11% in an arrest and 2% in conviction. And let me show you, let me just put it out there now. A lot of those arrests and convictions are of innocent people. Because we've seen, this is a whole other issue with the police. They plant evidence all the time. They railroad people all the time. Them and the prosecutors. They will, people do not have the money for a lawyer to adequately defend themselves. So they usually get stuck with private public defenders who have like 700 other cases, which I have no idea how this is even a thing that's allowed. How prosecutors, how defense attorneys, public defenders have so many cases. It's literally impossible to keep up with and provide adequate defense. They know this. And in order to make it look like they can get some kind of conviction, to look like they do their job even a little bit, they'll railroad innocent people. So the number of convictions and arrests and like how effective they are at combating crime is undoubtedly even lower than the 11% and the 2% number that she gave there. But let's continue. So it isn't just that the police aren't solving crime, they're out there doing crime themselves. So civil asset forfeiture is a practice where the police and law enforcement, they don't have to really prove anything. They just have to suspect that your money or your assets are the result of a crime or have something to do with a crime. And they can literally take your money, your cars, your property, and keep it for themselves. Not like they have it in evidence. They will take it and use that money themselves or go to police auctions and sell it to get money for the police departments. Or sometimes they will just literally take the property and use it for themselves. So that's the process, the practice of civil asset forfeiture. The amount of money that, or the dollar amount that people lose to civil asset forfeiture is $5 billion compared to less than $4 billion that people lose to burglars, to regular old burglary. People breaking into your car, criminals breaking into your house and stealing your shit. The police take more in a dollar amount from people who they did not prove committed a crime. So they're technically stealing people's shit. They steal more shit from people than burglars. Again, and Joe Biden's going to give more money, give billions of dollars to hire 100,000 more police officers when this is the state of policing in this country. I'm not done. So further, even more evidence to how why it makes absolutely no sense to keep giving money to police officers to enforce a law when they violate the law more than anybody else. They're the bigger criminals than anybody else. This is an article from CBS. This is about the gangs. As I said the literal gangs, actual known to law enforcement gangs that are in the police departments. And it's specifically about the LAPD. I'm gonna read this quote, this whole thing, because it's very telling about and this is the legislators in California know this is going on. The police departments and the police chiefs know this is going on. And so this is this is a quote from the article. Quote, law enforcement gangs means a group of peace officers within a law enforcement agency who may identify themselves by a name and may be associated with an identifying symbol, including but not limited to matching tattoos, and who engage in a pattern of on-duty behavior that intentionally violates the law or fundamental principles of professional policing, including but not limited to excluding, harassing, or discriminating against any individuals based on a protected category under federal or state anti-discrimination laws. So that means you have white supremacists, literal white supremacists, and white supremacist gangs within the police department, and they're violating federal and state anti-discrimination laws. So they're out there using their official capacity as police officers to exercise their white supremacist, the ideology of their white supremacist gangs that they're a part of. This is fucking amazing. And this is public knowledge, and we all know this is going on. And again, nothing but more money to the police is everybody's solution here. Let me continue. Engaging in or promoting conduct that violates the rights of other employees or members of the public, violating agency policy. Hold on, give me 1 second. There's another one. The persistent practice of unlawful detention or use of excessive force in circumstances where it is known to be unjustified, falsifying police reports, fabricating or destroying evidence, targeting persons for enforcement based solely on protected characteristics of those persons because they're black or because they're minority. Theft, unauthorized use of alcohol or drugs on duty, unlawful or unauthorized protection of other members from disciplinary actions, and retaliation against other officers who threaten or interfere with the activities of the group. This is what's going on in police departments. I swear to God, I hope nobody in my audience is naive enough to believe that this is so rampant within the LAPD. And it's just this is confined to that one police department. This isn't happening anywhere else in the country. That strains credulity. This along with all these other issues that we see with policing, these are systemic issues that you can be found in any police department that you look in. And as this listed, and by the way, this was from the police departments updating their after lawmakers try to ban gangs from the LAPD. The chief or the commissioners decided to change the police policy, like to ban gangs, which is ridiculous, and it really doesn't get to the root of the problem unless you are literally criminally targeting and prosecuting these police officers who are literally in gangs and conducting gang activity. You just put it on a piece of paper. Oh, everybody, you can't join gangs if you're in the police department. I don't think that's really going to do much, but that's not here nor there. The point that I'm making is they all know this shit is happening. And there is really no serious effort to do anything about it other than just writing some shit on a piece of paper. Because if they were serious, they would be kicking down their doors to put all those police officers that they know are fabricating evidence, falsifying police reports, and engaging in police brutality. They would arrest all those officers, over 1,000 officers. They would arrest them, but they're not going to do that. So all of that is just bullshit. But like I said, the point is just to show you, to get across that they know what's going on here. And you, like I said, you thought it was just LA, right? You thought it was just LAPD? Oh, what's this? So there was a huge scandal a few years ago about the Chicago Police Department, how they had literal black sites black sites, torture sites, where they would kidnap people, take them to these black sites. No lawyer, nobody knows, disappear these people, have no idea, nobody knows what's going on with these people. Take them to these black sites, torture them. This was going on for years in Chicago police. And they was finally hearing about it a couple years ago. And this is a report in RT about that hearing. A secret detention center run by Chicago Police Department was under the spotlight at a first of its kind hearing Tuesday. While protesters demonstrating against police brutality blocked city streets, elected officials from Chicago's Cook County held the first public hearing about Holman Square, and quote, off the books interrogation facility revealed earlier this year by The Guardian. The investigation found that Chicago Police Department denied constitutional rights to at least 7,000 victims, some of whom were tortured and sexually abused. This is what's happening with taxpayer money. 7,000 victims, and you know, that number is much higher. 7,000 victims taken to a black site, paid for by their own tax dollars. This is insane. And they're going to give more money to the police. Blank checks for the police departments, all the police departments, and you can keep all this shit up. All right. Let me get to the next graphic. All right. So that was actually it. So, what's left to say? It's outrageous. It is outrageous that this is their response to the demand to defund the police. Go kick rocks. We're going to give them more money. We don't care if they're criminals. We don't care if they're at war with your community. We don't care if they will go in your house, shoot you in your bed at 2:30 in the morning within 1 second of opening the door. We don't care. We're pro-police on this side. We're pro-police. And then people have the audacity to come out and not only browbeat me or browbeat anybody advocating to defund the police or abolish the police, but then have the nerve to go tell us we need to go vote for these Democrats who are doing this shit, who keep emboldening and empowering the police state. It was Joe Biden who got us here to begin with. And then his unrepentant, unbowed ass, after all we've seen, after all we know what happened with the crime bill, he's going to double down and triple down and hire 100,000 more police officers to keep doing this shit. I don't know what's left to say here.